Well, hello and welcome to Celebration Bar Review. In today's message, I guess I'm starting to get into grandparent mode. I've got another message about bears or bar review students, and today's message is, yes, sly little bar review students. This is actually from a great little book back in the 1960s that I think was actually, may have been, we read to our children. But it's great stories about some behaviors, and I think that there are some parallels to bar students. And today I'm going to talk about the sly bar student. That's the one that they're not trying to do something unethical or bad, but they're trying to game the bar exam. They're trying to somehow get an advantage without doing all the work. And it doesn't work very well for them. And I thought a good way to illustrate it would be to quickly read to you the story of Sly Little Bear and see if you see some parallels, and then I'll tell you some things that I saw. Anyway, there was, as you will see here, yes, there he is, a sly little bear. There was a little bear that didn't like to take a bath, and so when his mother said, "It's Saturday, little bear, go in and take your bath," he didn't. And this picture's always stayed with me. I loved it. There's Sly Little Bear, and the way he takes a bath, and that's probably the way that I took my baths too for a long time. He just ran the water, took off his clothes, sat down and flipped one paw back and forth in the water, splashing as though he were all nice and clean. And then he dried his paw, got dressed in his clean clothes, and he came out, and he thought he was pretty smart. That sly little bear. So there you go. There's the sly little bear. Now, as you might imagine, along comes Mama, and she takes a good look at him at inspection time one day, and she says, "Look, you're not really getting clean, and you look pretty dirty for a bear that takes a bath every Saturday, so it seems to me you better take one every day of the week." And after that he did, and I love, love, love this picture. Let me see if I can get it for you. There it is. Isn't that great? I mean, that's the way a bar student looks right there. You gotta love that. So Mama sat there and made sure that he used lots of soap. And in a week or so, Little Bear was all clean, smooth, sort of liked it too. And Mom said, "You look clean even before you take your daily bath," which is a lot for a little bear to take. So I guess you can go back to just having one bath a week on Saturday. And so after that, Little Bear only had to take one bath a week. And when Mom said, "Little Bear, go in and take your bath," he went right on in, and he did. Now, I love the story, sorry. But this is kind of what reminds me of some things that I experience, particularly when I'm doing writing conferences with students as they're starting out in our course. They're really anxious about it, and sometimes they don't really dig in. They try to sort of dip their paw into the writing. They do a little bit of writing, or they'll say something like, "I don't really feel like I need to write performance tests, or I don't really need to write a lot of essays, or I don't really need to do a lot of whatever it is." And the truth is that there's no shortcut to passing the bar exam. There's no shortcut to going through the writing process, and frankly, there's probably not a shortcut to having your writing conferenced about and critiqued and mentor you through that process. And so often what happens is that when people try to find the less painful way through the process, it doesn't work out. And they metaphorically get inspected by the bar examiners, and they fail, and they've got to go back and do it again, or again and again and again. And I think that that's one of the problems. Very often I will be contacted by someone who has failed the bar exam multiple times. Now, this is someone who's never taken our course, but confidently proceeds to tell me all the courses they have taken and all the reasons why they're skeptical and critical of bar review courses, and how they've spent usually thousands and thousands of dollars. And oftentimes then they say to me something like, "So what are you going to do for me?" Like, I was the one that caused the initial problem. You can't be a sly bar taker. There's no shortcut to the process. You need to do the painful, hard things, and that means having the courage to have your work examined and reviewed and talk about it and improved through that process of work, conference, review, go back and do it again. I often ask students to write and rewrite essays. It's not the most enjoyable thing to do, but I usually make a point of saying it's not a punishment. It's simply a way that you learn and get better at what you're doing. I don't think you have to take a bath every day, but I don't think you can just dip your paw in the water once a week. I'm always troubled when I hear from a student who says, I don't think ... I don't think I need to do X. Well, typically the student is the worst person to make that distinction or determination. And so I think it's really important, if you're in our course, I want to know what you're doing and at least have some input. But if you're not in our course, talk to whoever you've given your money and your trust to and get some help and see what they tell you about what you should be doing. And then follow that advice. I'm not saying that all bar review providers know what they're talking about. Sadly, most of them don't. But their bad advice is probably still better than no advice at all. And I think that if you're trying to find a way around doing the hard work, spending the time in study, reviewing questions, listening to lectures, doing the reading, you're going to just disappoint yourself. Now, to be clear, this is not the same as the person that tries to do everything, that overdoes, that goes crazy. That's a whole different problem. This is the person that's trying to take the path of least resistance into the bar exam. The bar examiners are not stupid. They know that lots of people want to come to, particularly the states that we prepare, places like Florida, California, Texas, New York. And so they create an exam that you cannot game. You can't prepare for it in 3 days or 6 days. You can't cram for it. You can't treat it as a sidelight. It's too expensive, it's too hard, and the pass rates are too low. And so if you're trying to find this path of least resistance, I'm not sure it's out there. There's no magic panacea. There's no easy gateway into the bar. Sometimes I hear from foreign trained attorneys who say, well, I want to take the easiest bar exam there is in the U.S. Well, you can't. Number one, it doesn't exist. And number two, you're not eligible. So you're going to have to take a tough exam. There's no easy way in. There's no gateway that's going to let you get into the bar. And that's bad news for a lot of people, but that's the way that the system is. And so you have to go through it. You have to do it. So don't be a sly bar taker. Go through this once. That's plenty. But if you do it the right way, if you start early enough, if you follow directions, if you take your lumps and learn how to do things the right way, you'll only have to do them once. And that's the real value and I think the benefit of doing a quality course with quality teaching versus just trying to find that path of least resistance, that way to be sly and somehow beat the bar exam. Can you beat the bar? No, you really can't. In nearly 20 years, I haven't seen people do that. And those that tell you you can, I think, are better marketers than they are teachers. So be careful about that. Be aware of that. Be prepared to do some hard work for 6 weeks or 8 weeks or for 4 months or 6 months, whatever it takes you to get ready. But if you do that work, you're going to get the payoff. And then you won't have to do it again. And that's the whole point. If you have questions about this or anything else that I've talked about in these videos, feel free to contact me. I'd love to hear your comments and thoughts. And thanks for humoring me as I read to you the stories about the sly little bear today. Take care.